What happens when Meghan Markle, the most scrutinized royal of her generation, sits across from Anderson Cooper, a man known for asking the questions no one else dares? Today, in this video, we're taking you inside a confrontation that has already shaken the internet, an interview spiraling out of control, words clashing, tempers flaring, and tensions reaching a boiling point. Every glance, every pause, every whispered remark is a spark ready to ignite a firestorm. The air feels electric, charged with anticipation, as if the very room knows something monumental is about to unfold. A quiet hum lingers in the background, like the pulse of a storm waiting to break. And then she enters. Meghan. Calm, controlled, her every step deliberate, radiating attention that demands attention. There's a flicker in her eyes, a hint of something unsaid, a storm concealed behind composed features. Across from her, Anderson Cooper sits, his posture calm, hands clasped, eyes focused. But there's a subtle tension in the set of his jaw, a glimmer of anticipation. He knows this won't be a normal interview. The air thickens, every second stretching, loaded with the weight of unspoken truths. Cooper, leaning forward, voice smooth but probing. Meghan, stepping back from royal duties has sparked intense reactions. Some call it courageous, others say it's abandoning tradition. How do you respond to that? Meghan's eyes narrow slightly, a controlled exhale escaping her lips. Every movement is deliberate, measured, but there's a tension in her posture that hints at the storm beneath. Meghan, flat, deliberate. I respond with honesty. The narrative spun about me. It's not mine. Headlines, rumors, assumptions. People think they know my life, my choices, but they don't. Anderson leans forward slightly, a faint smirk crossing his face, the first hint of challenge. He's met defiance before, but this feels different. Charged, dangerous, unpredictable. Cooper, sharp cutting. Yet the same spotlight you now critique, wasn't it something you once sought? Isn't it contradictory to reject it now, after having been part of it for so long? Meghan's hand brushes against the armrest, fingers tightening subtly. Her eyes flash, her voice low but sharp, every word dripping with intensity. Meghan, cutting controlled. Contradictory? Perhaps. Or perhaps it's called evolving. People change. Circumstances change. And just because I choose a path that challenges tradition doesn't make it any less valid. The tension escalates. Anderson's gaze sharpens, leaning in closer, while Meghan meets it unflinchingly. The unspoken energy between them is almost visible, crackling like electricity, as if the very air knows a storm is about to break. Cooper, quiet, probing. And yet, critics argue the palace felt blindsided, that boundaries were crossed, that family dynamics were strained. Isn't there a sense of responsibility here that's been ignored? Meghan's jaw tightens, her lips pressing together as a flicker of anger crosses her face. She leans slightly forward, voice low, sharp, each word deliberate. Meghan, sharply, responsibility? I've carried it my whole life in ways people cannot imagine. Every move, every decision, scrutinized, judged, misrepresented. And now I'm told to apologize for seeking autonomy, for choosing mental health over tradition? No. Anderson's eyes narrow, a flicker of challenge in his calm demeanor. He's testing boundaries, but Meghan is ready. The air hums with anticipation, every second pregnant with the potential for eruption. Cooper, low, deliberate. Autonomy is one thing, yet the media paints you as strategic, even manipulative at times. How do you reconcile the public perception with the truth you claim to live by? Meghan, voice rising, intense. Perception is never reality. The people who reduce me to headlines and gossip, they have already made their judgment. I am not here to perform for critics. I am here to speak truth. The room feels charged, every glance, every micro-expression amplified. Meghan leans back slightly, composing herself while Anderson studies her, calculating, probing. The tension is cinematic, almost unbearable, as if the entire world is watching this collision of two forces. Cooper, leaning forward, voice tight. The public wants to know your relationship with the royal family. Honestly, any regrets? Frustrations you wish had been handled differently? Meghan, eyes hardening, voice controlled but sharp. Regrets? Everyone has them. But I refuse to be vilified for seeking dignity, for choosing life over control. Frustrations? Certainly. But they do not define me. Misrepresentation does. Anderson's posture shifts slightly, the challenge intensifying. Meghan's gaze is unwavering. Every second builds the tension, like a storm about to break. Cooper, low, precise. Then let's be candid. The public witnessed your interviews, your statements. Some perceived contradictions, moments of tension with the media itself. How do you reconcile that with the image of truth you present now? Meghan, flat, searing. There's nothing to reconcile with those who refuse to see the truth. My story isn't for them. If they cannot understand it, they are not worth my explanation. The air feels electric. Every breath, every movement, every glance heightens suspense. Meghan shifts slightly, her hand brushing the table, an almost imperceptible signal of impatience. Anderson's jaw tightens. The unspoken battle now dominates the room. Meghan, sudden, sharp, standing. I've said enough. I'm done explaining to those who refuse to understand. Her heels click sharply against the floor as she walks out, leaving a stunned silence behind. Anderson leans back, momentarily speechless, the tension lingering like smoke. The camera holds on the empty chair, the room frozen in suspense as the audience is left hanging, craving what comes next. The studio sits in stunned silence, the echo of Meghan's heels still ringing faintly against the polished floor. Anderson Cooper remains seated, his eyes fixed on the empty chair, a flicker of disbelief crossing his usually composed face. The lights above flicker faintly, casting long, angular shadows that seem to stretch across the room, emphasizing the void her absence has left. The crew exchanges glances, some whispering under their breath, others frozen, uncertain how to proceed. Outside the frame, cameras continue rolling, capturing every tense second for an audience eager for every reaction. A soft click signals the return to the live feed. Anderson's voice steady but carrying a subtle undercurrent of shock. Cooper, low measured, almost to himself. Ladies and gentlemen, as you just witnessed, Meghan Markle has chosen to walk out of the interview. But the questions remain, and the story, it's far from over. The camera pans slowly across the empty chair, zooming in on the faint indentation where Meghan had been seated. The lights catch the glint of her bracelet, left behind in the rush, a small, almost imperceptible symbol of the tension that had erupted moments ago. Crew members murmur quietly, adjusting equipment, trying to maintain composure as the silence stretches into an almost unbearable weight. Off camera, an assistant whispers urgently to the producer, voice low but tense. Assistant, whispering, should we cut to commercial? The viewers, they're feeling it. Producer, low sharp, no, leave it. Let them see this. This tension, it's gold. The audience thrives on confrontation. Anderson's gaze shifts slightly, staring at the empty space, his mind racing through the questions left unanswered, the escalation that had overtaken the room. His voice, calm on the surface, carries a subtle edge now, curiosity intertwined with incredulity. Cooper, softly probing. What drives a person to such a sudden, decisive exit? The layers of frustration, of hurt, the intensity of emotion. It's undeniable. But what does it reveal about the story we've yet to hear? Cut to a close-up of Meghan, now offset, pacing in a narrow, dimly lit hallway. The camera follows her movements, capturing the sharp click of her heels against the floor, the subtle tension in her shoulders, the controlled breathing that betrays the storm inside. Her hands grip the railing lightly, knuckles white, as if anchoring herself against the surge of emotion threatening to spill over. Meghan, voice low, almost a whisper to herself. They think they can define me, label me, reduce me to sound bites, but they're wrong. Every assumption, every headline, it's a misrepresentation, and I refuse to validate it with silence. A sudden gust from a nearby vent rustles her hair, a cinematic detail capturing the chaos of her inner world. Her eyes narrow, the camera lingering on a micro-expression, a flash of anger, a flicker of pain, quickly masked by her controlled demeanor. Back in the studio, Anderson leans forward, fingers steepled, his voice now sharper, cutting through the stillness like a knife. Cooper, voice deliberate, tense. It's rare to witness such raw emotion on live television. The walkout, it speaks volumes, more than any carefully crafted statement ever could. But the question lingers, what next? The world watches, speculates, and waits. The camera cuts to a split screen, Meghan's shadowed hallway pace on one side, the empty studio on the other. The contrast heightens the tension, the unseen confrontation becoming almost tangible. Crew members adjust microphones nervously. The tension is almost a character in itself, weaving through the air, palpable, charged. Anderson takes a deep breath, exhaling slowly, his voice dropping to a near whisper, drawing viewers in. Cooper, low intense. Meghan's decision to leave is more than a momentary reaction. It's a statement, a declaration of agency, of refusal to conform. But with it comes questions about the family, the palace, the narrative the public has consumed for years. Off camera, whispers ripple through the crew. One producer leans toward another, voice urgent but restrained. Producer two, whispering. Viewership is going to spike. People crave this. The tension, the confrontation, it's magnetic. Anderson's gaze hardens, his voice now carrying both curiosity and challenge. A subtle invitation for confrontation even in her absence. Cooper, firm, probing. She walked out. But what does that walkout signify? Fear? Frustration? Anger? Or the ultimate reclaiming of control over her own narrative? The layers are complex, and the world will dissect every second. Cut back to Meghan, the camera tight on her face. Her eyes glint with a mixture of defiance and anguish. She stops pacing, pressing her palm against the wall, as if bracing herself against an invisible force. The dim lighting accentuates the shadows across her face, each line a testament to the intensity of the moment. Meghan whispered, searing, I won't be silenced, not by expectation, not by tradition, not by those who think they have the right to define my story. The camera lingers on her, the sound of her controlled breathing echoing slightly in the narrow hallway, amplifying the cinematic tension. Off in the distance, muffled voices of the crew leak through the walls, a reminder of the world she's momentarily escaped. Back in the studio, Anderson leans back slightly, the weight of the moment settling in. His voice, measured but carrying a sharp edge, fills the empty space left by her departure. Cooper, low contemplative. Every action, every choice, scrutinized, every dissected. Meghan Markle's walkout is not just a moment, it's a mirror reflecting the pressures, the expectations, and the relentless gaze of the public eye. But what happens next? That remains uncertain. Suddenly, the camera catches movement behind the crew, a shadow passing across a doorway. The tension spikes. Everyone freezes, the faint click of heels returning. Slower this time, deliberate, almost ceremonial. Meghan re-enters the frame. Her eyes are locked on Anderson, unblinking, and the silence is deafening. Meghan, voice cold, sharp, electrifying the room. I came back because the story isn't finished. And Anderson, there's a truth you've yet to confront. The crew gasps softly, some crouching slightly to adjust cameras, others frozen mid-motion. Anderson's jaw tightens, eyes narrowing as he leans forward, sensing the cinematic gravity of the moment. Cooper, quiet, incredulous. You've returned. Meghan's lips curve into a controlled, almost predatory smile. Her eyes glint with intensity, the camera capturing every micro-expression, the spark of defiance, the flash of anger, the weight of unspoken truths. Meghan, low, deliberate, devastating. Yes, and what you're about to hear will change everything. The studio lights dim further, shadows deepening, tension reaching a fever pitch. The camera slowly zooms in on Anderson's face, Then cuts to a tight close-up of Meghan. Every blink, every subtle twitch of the mouth, every sharpened glance is magnified. The audience feels the collision of two forces, the storm ready to break. The sound of a distant clock ticking grows louder, echoing through the studio, a cinematic device heightening suspense. Meghan takes a slow, deliberate step forward, her gaze locked on Anderson, the energy in the room so thick it seems almost tangible. Meghan, low, explosive. The palace, the narrative, the betrayal, it's all been manipulated, and I have proof. Gasps ripple through the crew. Anderson leans back, disbelief mingling with the professional instinct to probe further. The camera cuts to a wide shot, capturing the entire studio. The tension, the shadows, the anticipation, before snapping back to a close-up of Meghan, the cinematic climax building to its final crescendo. Meghan, voice cutting through the silence, final. And once the world sees it, nothing will ever be the same. The screen cuts to black, leaving the audience suspended, hearts racing, minds spinning. The ticking of the distant clock continues for a beat longer, then silence. The studio feels like it's holding its breath. Meghan Markle stands poised, a storm barely contained behind her calm exterior. The lights above have dimmed further, shadows stretching like dark fingers across the sleek floor, giving the room an almost surreal, cinematic quality. Anderson Cooper leans forward, eyes sharp, every instinct honed for confrontation now fully activated. The crew freezes mid-motion, knowing this is the moment the audience has been waiting for, the reveal that will either redefine the narrative or ignite a firestorm. Meghan, voice low, controlled, magnetic. The palace narrative, the carefully constructed story. It's not what it seems, and I have evidence. Evidence that exposes the truth behind every assumption, every headline, every whispered rumor. The camera cuts to a close-up of Anderson's eyes, narrowing, calculating, but also betraying a flash of apprehension. He leans back slightly, adjusting the microphone, almost as if bracing himself for impact. Cooper, steady, probing, cautious. Evidence? What kind of evidence? Documents? Statements? Or something the public could never anticipate? Meghan's lips curve into a small, almost imperceptible smile. Her gaze sweeps the room slowly, making every camera lens feel the weight of her presence. She lifts a sleek, leather-bound folder from beside her chair, placing it deliberately on the table. The soft thud echoes in the studio like a heartbeat. Meghan, flat, deliberate. Everything. Emails, messages, internal memos. The layers of manipulation, control, and misrepresentation. It's all here, and when it comes to light, the world will finally see the truth. Anderson leans forward, elbows on the table, eyes locked on her, voice tight but measured. Cooper, quiet, intense. And you're prepared to make this public? On air? Meghan's hand hovers over the folder, fingers brushing the surface as if savoring the weight of her revelation. Her eyes flash, catching the dim light, every micro-expression amplified by the tension in the room. Meghan, low searing. Not just prepared, I intend to. The world will see what's been hidden, what's been ignored, and the lies exposed in full. The crew exchanges anxious glances. Some move to adjust cameras, others freeze, sensing the cinematic gravity building. Anderson swallows, his voice dropping to a near whisper, almost disbelief mixed with the thrill of the story unraveling before him. Cooper, soft, deliberate. And the palace, your family, are they aware you're about to drop this? Meghan's lips tighten into a firm line. Her gaze hardens, unflinching, unwavering. Meghan sharply, cutting. They will be, but it's no longer about appeasing them. It's about reclaiming my narrative, reclaiming my life, and ensuring the truth cannot be twisted any longer. A long silence stretches across the studio. The only sound is the soft hum of equipment, punctuated by the distant click of a camera adjusting focus. Then, Meghan opens the folder slowly, deliberately, and pulls out a single sheet of paper, sliding it across the table toward Anderson. The camera follows the motion in slow, deliberate close-up. The paper seems to vibrate with tension, as if it carries the weight of the entire world. Cooper, leaning forward, eyes wide, tense. This is what you're revealing? Meghan nods once sharply. Her gaze meets Anderson's, unblinking, a storm contained in the calm of her posture. Meghan, flat, electrifying. Yes, and once you read it, nothing will ever be the same. Anderson takes a hesitant breath, lifting the paper, eyes scanning rapidly. His expression shifts subtly, first disbelief, then a tightening of the jaw, and finally, shock. His eyes flick up to Meghan, wide, almost unable to reconcile what he's seeing. Cooper, voice tight, incredulous. This changes everything. The studio feels smaller now, the air thick with tension, every shadow amplified by the dim lights. The crew whispers under their breath, some stepping back as if sensing the magnitude of the moment. Meghan leans back slightly, crossing her arms, a predator in perfect control. Meghan, calm yet searing. And there's more. This is just the beginning. The documents, the messages, they outline everything. The manipulation, the silencing, the orchestrated narratives designed to control perception. And it all ends tonight. Anderson sets the paper down slowly, eyes flicking back to her. His voice is low, barely above a whisper, yet every word cuts through the charged air. Cooper, soft, deliberate. You understand the fallout. This could ignite a scandal unlike any other. The palace, the media, the public, everything could be destabilized. Meghan's gaze intensifies, her jaw firm, eyes blazing with resolve. Meghan whispered, sharp, controlled fury. I understand, and I accept it, because the truth cannot wait any longer. The camera cuts to wide angle, the empty spaces behind them, the flickering studio lights, the tense crew frozen mid-motion, every detail cinematic, every shadow a metaphor for the storm about to break. The ticking of a distant clock grows louder, each tick echoing like a drumbeat of suspense, heightening the anticipation. Suddenly, a faint notification, sound from a phone on the table, interrupts the silence. Meghan glances at it briefly, lips tightening, her eyes flash. The crew exchanges anxious looks, sensing a new layer of tension. She picks up the phone, reads the message, and slowly turns her gaze back to Anderson. Meghan, low, electrifying, almost whispered, It's from someone who should have never contacted me, someone who knows exactly what's at stake and what's about to be revealed. Anderson leans in, voice taut with anticipation, almost a whisper. Cooper, tense. Who? Meghan doesn't answer immediately. She lets the moment stretch, every second loaded with suspense. Then she places the phone down, a small, almost imperceptible smile curling her lips. Meghan, flat, devastating. Let's just say, the next revelation will be bigger than anyone could have imagined. And it starts tonight with what you now hold in your hands. The camera zooms tight on Anderson's face, eyes wide, breath catching as the magnitude of her words sinks in. The studio lights flicker, shadows dancing across his face, amplifying the cinematic tension. Crew members whisper urgently, but Meghan's gaze silences them, every eye drawn to her presence, every detail magnified, the poised fury, the controlled storm, the explosive truth about to be unleashed. Meghan, low searing, final. And Anderson, by the time this is over, the world will realize something they've been blind to for decades. The story isn't what they think it is. The camera cuts to black just as Meghan leans forward slightly, the edges of the paper glinting under the dim studio lights. The distant ticking grows deafening for a moment, then silence. The screen holds on black, leaving viewers suspended, hearts racing, minds spinning, desperate for the next revelation. Fade out.